So girls, I wanted to chat about the new budget that's been announced in Wales, the £1.5 million for a new care skills academy. So if I don't know if you've seen it, what's your thoughts on that?
To be honest with you, I think that respecting and valuing care workers is one of the elephants in the room that we need to address for social care, because everyone I know right now is really suffering with attracting the right staff, keeping staff. And we know it's a great industry. We know that people do care because they actually care, not just because they want a paycheck at the end of it. And we're just not respecting and professionalising the workforce enough. And that literally is everything that's being screamed at me at the moment. I mean, Skills for Care recently brought out a report and they were talking about the pressures that social care organisations have. And it's about paying staff what we really feel they're worth. Like, if local authorities aren't funding the sector enough, it's really difficult for us to give people the pay that we think they deserve. It's really difficult for us to see reward our care workers with the professional qualifications that we think that they need. And we don't have an institution that says, right, this is how we're training people. It's all centralised, it's all supported. The training is also there, and not just like care providers trying to find money somewhere to do the extra training that they want to, but knowing that that's going to affect quality of care somewhere else. Like, that support that Wales are giving the sector is fantastic. And I only wish that people in England and the government would do more of that to really value the sector, because that's absolutely what we need. I don't know what you think, Obi.
Yeah, I think it's a very welcome idea. Everyone knows, or as you may not know, the churn rates in care is so high. You could get someone in today, tomorrow they leave. And that affects not just your organization, but continuity of care as well. And I'm also interested to know how wide, or the amount of competencies it covers, because I find it's not just about the carers, it's also about leadership as well. There isn't enough training and qualification for leadership as well, and there isn't a clear pathway progression for someone like an ex-police officer, as an example, who feels like, oh, I've got skills that I want to deliver in the care sector. There isn't a clear pathway that can actually guide them through that way. So
transfer the skills.
Absolutely. And like you said, Sophie, just creating some sort of pipeline where there's continuity. You can invest in staff. Like, you know that, okay, if you rather than even investing in a person, you can even invest in the actual, I guess maybe program, and then you can have a few of your staff visit. So yeah, definitely a welcome idea. And there's a lot to unpack with that.
Do you think, for me, at the moment, you're seeing all over the news, we've got the highest unemployment rates, 18 to 24. And, I scream at the telly. I'm like, are you joking? I've got loads of jobs. The care sector's got loads of jobs. How are all of these people unemployed? And I'm like, right, because they're not diverting them to the care sector. But then one conversation I always have with people, and especially that younger generation, is TikTok, social media platforms. And I've said this before at like quite a few talks that I've been to. Younger adults, they can go onto TikTok, link themselves to a product as an affiliate. It's affiliate, I think it is. And they post like 60-second videos a day, and anything from £150 to £300 a day, and start getting a profile, and start not even have to leave their house. They get free gifts sent to them all day. And then I think, right, £150 a day to be a carer, to go out, not get to drop your child to school if you've got kids, not to kiss your husband goodbye because he's doing nights, you're doing days, and you're just passing in the hallway. Would our younger generation now want to go out? They can't afford to get a car for a start. So when we're looking at community care, nobody can afford to insure themselves at the moment. I mean, my insurance went up, I think something like, and I've never had a car crash, touch wood. Mine went up I think it was 36%. How are we going to get this younger generation also to get out driving? So they're giving up all of that sort of family time to go and get £150. They're dealing with complex patients. They're dealing with with challenging family members. They're cold, they're wet, they're not having breaks, they're using with the wear and tear on their car, probably some of them using their own mobile phones if they're out in the community. Would you get up and do that for £150 a day, or sit in your house in the nice and warm, getting a bit TikTok famous, social media famous?
And
you know, it's really hard.
And then have to do a lot of training before you actually even start. And then, and then once you leave, and then that's it. So,
but that also depends on the provider, because has the provider given them that training? You know, when I'm speaking to some community care providers as well, they put them out shadowing first. So they go out and do the hands-on work first before they do the actual training. And I'm on two minds about this, because I get it. Because as a dom care provider, I can sit and pay £800 a week to get somebody trained, ready to go out and do their shadowing because they're new to care. And then the moment they go and do their shadowing, they're like, no, it's not for me. And then I've just kissed 800 quid goodbye. And that's come off me doing, you know, things with the other staff. But then actually, when they go out to work and do that shadowing first, and they make that decision there, then it saves them money, but then they haven't got the skills to do it. So I am quite conflicted on that. So that the idea of having a national social care academy where people can go and get upskilled first, I think shows, one, that they're committed. Two, it's going to support providers with not having that on cost, and them having those transferable skills. I think, you know, Sophie, you mentioned skills for care. This is what the care certificate was supposed to do initially. And I mean, that's fallen flat on its face. Sophie, I know in the care homes and stuff, does anyone even use that anymore?
Absolutely. But if you look at the statistics for, I mean, this again is skills for care, but then they do collect a lot of data. There's a lot of people who aren't, I don't know whether it's they're not completing it or they don't have it fully. I think anecdotally, what happens is you start people and then they move jobs, so then it doesn't really transfer, or some organizations will recognize it, some people won't recognize it. It's very bitty. And when you do it from, you know, beginning to end, you do it properly, it's great, but it's very resource intensive and it's quite difficult to see all the way through. It's an important part of your training. And I just want to stress, health and social care is the most regulated industry out there. Like the ONS has reported on that. When I look at how many supervision staff have, there's nowhere in law. CQC does not say you need to have supervisions every month, every quarter, but providers generally do that. It's a hangover from, I would say, I can't remember which law it is or which standard, the care standards or something, 2000 or something like that, where they said they were really quite specific about how you do your induction and how any supervisions you have. But we're just we have this reflex where we automatically give people a lot of supervisions. We give people a lot of training. Like, it is probably the most unprofessionalized sector out there. And it's just to rubber stamp it. And I don't know why it's so hard to do that, because we're literally doing the work already. But one thing I would say is, so at Co-Produce Care, I've just set up an advisory group. So I've got a group of like 10 people who have volunteered to give their time to advise me of where we should be taking our advocacy and our support for the sector. And I had my first meeting yesterday. And one person said to me, and it really resonated, was that what we do with our registered managers is we put a whole heap of resource into them to make sure that they know the regulations, to make sure that they're going to pass the exam or the test or the interview with the Care Quality Commission, our regulator. And then once they've got their registration, we say, off you go, bye. You know, and we Oh, but the travesty for me is that they are doing such a fantastic job. More than anything, we need to have a system of training and support for those managers and leaders in social care to make sure that the rest flows beautifully. It needs to cover things like trauma-informed care, which we did a conference on. It needs to cover things like leadership. What type of leader are you? How are you going to support change management? There's so much change in social care. How the juice do you get if you are managing 10 staff or you're managing 50 staff? How do you get them to change?
I'll throw a curveball in though.
Yeah. So I just feel like managers,
how can you free up the manager though, Soph? How can you, this is the problem at the moment, how can you free up that registered manager to go and have that supervision and support? Because the sector, like I know I'm really hands-on in my business. I know you are as well. Trying to free up my registered manager because she's got back-to-back teams meetings, for safeguarding meetings, staff supervisions, office supervisions. Then we've got all this crap going on with the international recruits and workforce, this magic domestic work, the invisible domestic workforce that exists. How can we sit there and say, right, we've got registered manager, we want to support them because they absolutely do need it, when we cannot even free that my registered manager up to anything because she is at top, or he or she is at top full capacity, because the sector and the system are doing that to them, not us as providers. I don't want my manager to be like that. But the system pressures is what's creating that. And I'm on all these Facebook groups, registered managers groups, all over them. I need to leave because of my mental health. I need to leave, and all the signs are there. It's so repetitive. It's so normalized for registered managers to leave because of the pressure and the mental health struggles they have. And all we keep saying is, okay, we'll give more training. We'll start a new technology, there's all sorts coming out at the moment. We're going to make it a skilled workforce. We are already skilled. We do not need another certificate. We do not need another course, another program to be recognized. We need to be recognized without giving us more work to do to get to that point where we're recognized. And that's the frustrating bit, because I personally believe a registered manager should be given at least a 3-hour weekly bit of R&R for themselves, whether that's for some supervision, appraisal, some sort of a reflection, or a bloody cup of coffee. That isn't with you enough.
Yeah. Imagine if you're a small organization where you're the registered manager, you're also the nominated individual. You have no time. There's nothing.
Because going home isn't going home, is it? You go home and you carry on working. You're on call. You're there thinking, God, is the fire alarm going to go off in the middle of the night? Is Betty going to die? Or has my staff turned up to the last care calls they were due to do in the community? Did someone order those medications before they go? Because a lot of the care workers do feel and think like that as well. But that manager will be thinking, has the supervisor done that? Have they put the meds order in? Have they ordered the Tesco delivery, the farm foods, whatever we need? You just do not switch off. It literally absorbs and takes over your life. And then we're still labelled as an unskilled workforce.
So I was going to ask, with a national health education system, who's going to be is it going to be free, or who's going to be at the brunt of paying for skills for the course?
The one that we've mentioned is the Welsh government that have actually funded this.
Funded by the Welsh government. So we're welcoming the idea of the government actually taking that cost away from
learning.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. And do they cover is it just the mandatory courses, or is specialist included?
I haven't got the fine detail. I haven't seen the fine detail, and I haven't seen the full plan, but it was announced on the government website. So it is something I want to look into. But yeah, really excited. Imagine that, having hubs all over the UK, because we'd need multiple. In my head, I'm thinking National Care Service. Do you know how they're saying we need those mini hubs everywhere? Add on, we're already investing and committing into a National Care Service and the neighbourhood teams, add it on to those units. Have the training centre there. Problem solved.
That would literally be amazing. I feel like in England, it's like pigs might fly, but you never know. But I'm just thinking, we haven't actually introduced ourselves yet.
Oh my God, yes.
No, we need to just do a little bit of intro. Maybe we should talk about who we are, what our organisations are, and how we got into doing this kind of stuff.
Without taking all the time of the podcast to talk about ourselves. Do it. Let's do it.
Are you hinting at me? You're like, Sophie, don't go on too much.
No, me. We all know I'm the one that waffles.
I love that. Do you want to go first then, since you're the one that waffles? I'm sure you won't.
We're trying to get me out of the way first. So I'm Kat Hall. This is the brand new The Three podcast, which I'm so excited about. And I get to be with these absolutely two beautiful ladies who will introduce themselves. I am 26 years in the care sector. I am a care provider. I've been working in care since I was 14. I'm a bit of a disruptor. I am an out-the-box thinker, and I love challenging things that are not working and trying to solve the problem, especially anything to do with social care. I eat, sleep, and bleed social care. And I'll shut up. That was a really quick one, wasn't it?
That was really good.
I thought you were going to say I'm 26 years old. I was like,
yeah. Well, could I actually get away with it? Do you think I could get away with it?
You definitely could. You absolutely could.
Oh, thank you, darling. Thank you, darling.
Yeah, I agree, Kat. You do live, eat, sleep, breathe. I don't know how you do it. Like WhatsApp, you're there.
I don't sleep, actually. That was a lie.
Okay. So, I'm Obi, and I am more than happy, as you can tell, because I'm always grinning. Whenever I'm in this space, I always have a grin on, because it's just so lovely and refreshing to be in such a space where you can actually talk about the issues very openly without having any filters, and just express yourself and also support change. So I'm the founder of hsct.ai. And it's a digital platform that supports care providers, manage operations, stay compliant, and bid for tenders. Speaking about bidding for tenders, that's kind of what I'm known for. So primarily, I'm a bid writer. That's what I do every single day. But I didn't start off as a bid writer. I started off as a business development officer in a care, supporting a care provider. When I started doing that, I realized very quickly that actually you can't really work at the top if you really don't know what's happening on the field level. So I demoted myself, started working as a carer, and I have worked every single work job possible as within a care setting. So as a carer, support worker, care coordinator, deputy, you name it, I've done it. And that was intentional, just so I could really understand every single aspect of care. I didn't just want to come in as a business development officer. So yeah, that's how I started. That was my introduction to care. And since then, I started doing consultancies, but with a difference. So unlike just going into a company and consulting, I'm on the field all the time, engaging with systems, processes, understanding what's working. Hence why I'm on this platform, because it's all about finding out what's working, what isn't working. And as someone who interacts with not just care providers, but the wider sector as well, I see firsthand what works, what doesn't, and any conversation that contributes to supporting, elevating care providers, the individuals within our community that support the most vulnerable, I'm in it all the way. And that's me.
Wow, that is, always so much love. That's incredible. You girls, you ladies, amazing. So yeah, I'm just absolutely delighted to be on this platform with two incredible professionals who I just find so inspirational. My journey was similar in terms of I've always been working in the care sector. I actually started when I was 3. I'm gonna own that. Okay, it wasn't quite child labour, but I was in it.
Experienced person that I know. Okay,
I'm not sure.
Any social workers are watching now. It was consensual.
Yeah, I kind of didn't have a choice. So my mum was a psychiatric nurse. And she works in quite a lot of the big institutions. And she was like, I don't really like how care is happening in this space. So I'm going to start looking after people in my own home, because I think that people who end up in psychiatric hospitals, they just need a bit of love, care and family support. So that's when she invited people to come and live with us. And that was all regulated. So it was called adult placement schemes back then.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, do you? Not many people people
some
know
research
that.
on that. I did some
Did
research.
you?
It was fascinating.
It's
Absolutely
amazing.
fascinating. Yeah. Wow.
So that was us. Now it's called Shared Lives. So I just remember growing up with Dorothy and Mavis and Philip. And, you know, as I grew older, I'd started to help out. So I would help make the breakfast before going on the school bus. School holidays, I'd be supporting, just like cleaning, hoovering. I love all that stuff now. You know, I love being clean and tidy and stuff. So it comes from there. But most of all, my mum was like, her ethos of care was, you know, people aren't there just to do stuff for them. They're there to be part of a family. So people would have, you know, somebody would take out the rubbish and somebody else would help us cook. And it was very sort of like nurturing. And that's kind of what we carried on doing. So from that, we started doing care homes for people with mental health needs. And then autistic people with learning disabilities, difficulties. And now we are doing more supported living, and we've just started supporting people, older people in care homes. So we've kind of grown it. But my mum passed away in 2010. And to be honest with you, even though I did other things, I've somehow ended up with 4 degrees and all the rest. But I just love doing care. I come back to it and I want to stay in it the whole time. I hate how people talk about care as just like wiping bums and stuff like that. So that's when I started co-produced care, aside from the care provision that I do. And that's just a non-profit. And we do this kind of stuff. We do live streams on YouTube. People can find us, but we also do reports. So we've done research with the Health Foundation, Health Education England. Yeah. On COVID-19, all the kind of stuff like that. So a bit think tanky. And now we just want to support the sector and just say, right, what is it that you guys do that would help you, whether it's like reports or whether it's information or whether it's help with audits, CPD training we've started to do. We'll talk about it like later. So we're branching out. But my background is I literally brought up in social care. I love it. Wouldn't want to do anything else. And I think we're all in the same space.
I'm thrilled to say this episode was sponsored by the amazing Astronaut. Now, everyone knows I love people that support the care sector, and this is exactly what Astronaut do. If you're like me and you're not very good at IT, they take away all that stress. They manage all your cybersecurity, making sure your data is safe, and we all know, especially in the care sector, this is hugely important. They take all that burden away from us as providers and carers, and they support your staff as well to make sure they are doing things right. This episode has been brought to you because of them, and I'm truly grateful. So if you need help and support, you want it done to a CQC outstanding level, you want the ICO to be happy, then please get in touch with Astronaut. It is astronaut.co.uk, and you will not regret it.
It's just beautiful to be
Sophie,
here.
can I just say, I used to be obsessed with you, just so you know. So when I started,
Not weird at all.
I love on this platform.
to do the CQC analysis, and then you post them. And this is me trying to. At the time, I was trying to move away from working in a care setting to actually starting my consultancy. And this is me all the time.
Wow.
When Sophie posts them with my notes. Okay, what she's going to say today. So, and then I sent you a LinkedIn message. I was like, "Hey, Sophie, you know." I think that was the first thing. One of the first things I said to you when we met. I was like, "I sent you a LinkedIn message. I don't think you read it till today, but glad to meet."
Sorry, I remember that. I was so embarrassed because I'm terrible. You ask my husband, I just don't answer any messages. I never answer calls. I'm terrible.
I say you are one of those individuals who, when I started off, because I was like, do I really want to be another consultant? But when I saw what you were doing from the heart, I saw the video of, you know, when your mom passed away, I literally I tried to hold it back how much I know about you, Sophie, just to, you know, but
So it's not weird anymore, Sophie, but it's really actually quite weird.
Yeah.
That's amazing,
absolutely.
guys.
We're one of those individuals where people talk about collaboration now and sharing and, you know, lessons learned. You were doing that. And hearing your story now, it explains why, because that's what you grew up with. And you've kind of like, like how you express how care should be delivered, it's the organic way, because care fundamentally, it's about two human beings caring for each other, really. So, and you really embody that. So do you, Kat, by the way. Another fan of yours, but I'm not going to go into it.
Well, I was feeling a little bit left out, Obi. I'm not going to lie, right? I'm feeling like this might be going down to the two already.
My head is like this.
Might literally, yeah. We might have a spice actually.
I was like, when I saw your first post, I was like, okay, there's another Sophie. Who is this lady? You know? And she was
can I redeem yourself, Omi? You're all right. We're back. We're all friends again. Good job for the podcast. But you know what's really interesting, girls, right? So I come into the care sector from trauma. I was in the care sector, was in children's services, and I fell in love with the sector because I was in it and I wanted to change it. So my love come from different. Sophie, you were forced into the sector because of your family and their choices, right? When I was in school, and when anyone's in school, I know they did a little bit of this intergenerational workings where we try and get the kids, the small little kids to come in, and then you go to college and they say, do a bit of work experience. There needs to be more. There needs to be more, not like you were saying, you can't just do 6 weeks, go and do a bit of volunteering in a care home. You know, we need to do more of that, like that focus on working with people. That's all we used to do. If you imagine before we had hotels, buildings, other places to work, we lived in villages, caves, whatever, back in the days. I'm not even going to pretend I know the full story of that. But that's all we did. We were communities. We looked out for each other. We healed people naturally. You know, all of that is gone. And we're living in this really high tech driven world now. So we are competing against our own evolution, you know, the tech that is going to be the driving force, and it will change lives and be amazing. But that is also a massive fear for me, that this innovation is going to be what cripples the human contact, and that being the two people in one room, having those conversations. You know, we all say it now, when you're on the bus, how many people are just sat there on the phone? No one's talking to each other. When I was young, I was on the bus, I'd see Betty from up the road, I'd see Doris, and I'd be sat having a chat. Where are you going later? You could pick the phone up and say, you coming out to play today? I used to have to walk 5-10 miles to go and knock on someone's door and then not be in.
Well, that's another course that could also be added for providers like yourselves, like in ensuring that the human side, it's not as easy as, oh, you know, you're a carer, look at the care plan. No, like, how do we ensure that the human side of care doesn't get lost? And it's not as simple.
Connection.
There are systems that have.
That's what we're built for.
Yeah.
We're built for human connection, that natural energy that we give each other, that vibe, the touch, you know, the hugging, the feeling, the sharing. That's what needs to be trained. That's what we need to be focusing on. And I know, you know, you can go to college and do a health and social care course or become a nurse or a doctor. Very good. There's your 3 pathways. Go to college and do all these different engineering, tech, AI, you know, there's all these digital skills, etc. But actually, where is that human focus on? We need to care for each other, and we need to look at things in a different way. That needs to be embedded so much younger, and not just when you're in nursery so it looks good that you're doing intergenerational working and it's an option in college if you want to do it. It actually needs to be throughout education.
How do you, because with care it's so regulated, and sometimes I feel like when you have good intentions, like care, I love care. I remember when I left the organization, I used to go to visit the service users because we had such a good connection. I'm not going to call out any names, but like, I loved it. Like, I wanted to hear those stories. Sometimes they'll get my name wrong. I didn't care. But I understood that, obviously I would do it because I felt like, you know, I'm a citizen or whatever. But if the care provider I couldn't just go, if I was working with the care provider, I couldn't just go and visit as a service user just because. I couldn't do that. So how do you as a provider, what conversation should be had about, we're talking about making it more human, but in such a regulated sector, I feel like those are one of the things that could actually hold back a lot of the things that should happen naturally.
So I started the podcast in co-produced care live streams back in 2019. Then we had the pandemic, so I went online with everything, and then we started to come out of it. So 2020, I did a live stream with a PhD student at Oxford University who was working with NHS X at the time. And I just I'm currently working on an ebook to put all these things together, but she talked about what we need to be really careful about with AI. At the time, I didn't even know who Alan Turing was. Like, it's all recorded. I had no idea what anything was about AI. I was just totally
So she was
green.
having these conversations way back as far back as 2019.
No, she was doing research.
Oh, wow.
Then, okay. So now she's in a better space because she's got a PhD and she's doing more stuff. So she's at Yale at the moment, I think. And one of the things, so what I've been doing, I went back to that live stream and I have written a piece about it, which I've posted on LinkedIn, and I'm going to share it again. And some of the things that she was talking about, things we as care providers need to start thinking about. So one of them is, one of her worries was that we're relying on AI, but AI is only as good as the information that it's got. So if the people who are who are using it are white middle-aged men, it's going to advise everyone on a subject or whatever you ask it on the opinions of white middle-aged men. I'm just like, hypothesizing. This isn't a reality, but so if you have, what her worry was that in social care, if you don't have enough people who either use care services or if you don't have enough ethnic diversity with the amount of people who are using AI, feeding in and interacting with these systems, when people are asking it to produce a policy, or when people are asking it to support whatever you're trying to ask, get some kind of idea, medical advice or whatever it is, it's going to churn out stuff which is very narrow, it's very illiberal, it's very much pointed towards a certain side of society that actually interacts with that type of stuff. So we have to be really mindful of these things. And then, so I've kind of set out 7 things from that conversation with her that we need to look out for. I think people are a bit more aware now. They're aware of hallucinations that happen in AI, it kind of filling in the gaps of erroneous stuff it doesn't know about. And I just feel like I've just listened on the news recently about Trump threatening Anthropic, which develops Claude. I use Claude,
we know
Claude
you
a lot.
Claude.
I love Claude. He's like my bestie. He's like the other man in my life. Apart from my husband.
Careful.
But the thing is, he's challenging Claude, Anthropic, to say, right, actually, because you're not going to allow me to have these weapons, that will just be operated without human intervention, then we're going to take Anthropic into state ownership and all these things that are happening. And I just feel like it's happening so fast. We as a sector need to quickly understand what are our principles around AI. Where are our own red lines before you get encouraged by a local authority or somewhere else to say you need to use this system? You need to say, well, I will use this system so far because this is how I interact with it, because I am focused on the human interactions with the people we support, the real data in front of us, not just relying on systems in AI. So I think it's just a conversation we need to have. We need whole conferences on AI and social care. So that's kind of where my headspace is.
I love that. But then how do you get a provider who is so busy firefighting to start to understand or even want to go into an area that doesn't really have to do with their day to day? So I feel like that's also another thing, because it's good that we know this information and we're saying it, but the implementation aspect of it is an area that I would love us to talk about a lot more, because there are smaller providers who aren't as resourced, who still provide value to the community, but they just don't have the time, expertise, or whatever resource to implement.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do at Co-Produce Care, is provide those tools. So we're going to be releasing more stuff in the next few months, but I think it's just a start for 10 and then give you guys the tools, and then people need to build on it, because it's a real tricky space. And I just don't want other people to take the narrative.
But they also say they put us off from using AI because it's sensitive data, and if it can link back, there's so much around it. And I always think with AI, because it is, like you said, you give it, whatever you feed it, understands. And in my head, my ADHD brain goes, oh, we could start a rumor, because everyone starts feeding. The government is going to give the care sector a 50% increase if we all start putting it into the bot. then it might start getting pumped out. But no, with AI, I mean, I love it. I absolutely love AI, but I have to cross-check everything. I don't give all my team access to it. And I tell you what is quite interesting now is if I'm getting any sort of grievances coming from staff, they're all using AI, but they're using it and they don't understand what they're actually sending to me. So it's writing it in a way. And then it'll be like,
right.
Yes. And then I'm like, do you understand what you've actually said to me and what you're actually saying your grievances? Because when I've spoken to you, that isn't what you're saying on this message. So now it's actually becoming a pain in my ass. As much as a really good tool, it's also giving me issues. And to the point now where I actually will email staff and say, please, can you send me an authentic email so that you are clear on, because I can see it reeks AI, and I have sent out comms to my staff and I'm saying, please try and be authentic because it does hallucinate, it can misinterpret, and make sure you're rereading back, because if you're, especially if it's a complaint or something like that that's coming in, it can scream safeguarding, non-compliance, when actually it's a really small concern that's been brought in and it can be dealt with in a chilled way. And also family members. So when family members are sending me in things now, everything's coming in ChatGPT. And I'm like, oh, and then I have a joke with the girls. I'm like, oh, it's a ChatGPT battle today, you know, because they're just coming in. And again, family members don't.
If there's another care provider right now who is struggling with the same thing, like, how are you dealing with that?
Well, I just have to pick it to pieces and just, I'm at the moment, I'm having to clarify. Do you understand what you're actually saying? Can you break it down for me? Because here you're saying this is a complaint, this is a concern, and it breaches this regulation that doesn't actually exist anymore. So that is like 50-year-old regulation that you're quoting to me. Or it would pick up something that's American. So it's not even relevant to the UK, but they might be from America. Do you know what I mean? It's very, very blurred. So I now have to get to the point where I send back an email and I say, can I clarify that this is your actual concerns? And I have to correct it and then ask them to re-clarify, which normally, touch wood, does get me a human response. But I am constantly fighting against bots as well.
So AI is something that I'm doing at the minute. What are you doing? I mean, pick the 1,000 things that you're concentrating on this month, Kat. I don't know where to start.
Well, we've launched the Providers Unite campaign, so that's really, really excited. I think everyone knows how passionate I am about we need to stop doing things the way that we've been doing, making the noise, moaning all the time. That isn't getting through to government. They don't understand the value of social care. They don't understand that we are the preventative arm. We can save them millions and billions of pounds. And everything we've done, we did the brilliant march last year. We've signed in letters, they've got 32,000 signatures on one of them. We had, I think, 5,500 on the other letter. We don't get anywhere with it. So this campaign is going to be about educating the public. What do we do as a service? Show them how we prevent services. I got really irked the other week about, the tax relief that's been now given to the pubs, and everyone's celebrating, and it all went crazy because it got, all over social media, TikTok famous that Keir Starmer got refused from having a beer in the pub. We can't pull stunts like that, because if people are getting care, they're probably getting it for private care, and if they're a minister, etc. But that annoys me, because if you're going into a pub and it's social and it's lovely, that's great. But we also know a lot of people that access pubs go there and they have alcohol issues. They end up with liver problems. They end up having to have surgery or treatment. And then who looks after them? Us. And then we get told the care sector is costing too much money. Hang on a minute. A lot of the money being spent in the care sector is by the choices that people are making and how they live their lives, and government's decisions. You have made it easier for us to supply alcohol to people, and there will be repercussions for that. And that will mean that will impact the care sector funding. That doesn't mean we're doing a bad job. It means we're being asked to absorb the costs on the decisions you guys are making. So things like that, I think we just need to educate the public. This campaign is going to be amazing. We've got PMRL, who are, they they concentrate on lobbying government, etc. We've had National Care Association, who gives a substantial donation to get it going. And we're just bringing people together again. We've got too many silos of people doing bits and bobs. We need to come together, put profiles aside, and we need to march up to those doors as a unified voice. And that's what we're bringing. That's what I'm bringing this year with you guys, with everybody. It's not my movement, it's our movement, and we're bringing it.
Yeah.
Today's episode was proudly sponsored by Astra. They are incredible at what they do, and I am very grateful. So if you are a care provider that is purchasing a new service that has existing services, multiple locations, they can support you with full IT setups and integrations. They are also experts in managing all cyber security, full scope setup. They are experts in secure Wi-Fi, and as we all know, in the care sector, in children's services, it's absolutely vital that our systems are protected. We can track what staff are looking at, we can track what patients and clients are doing, and that nobody is at risk. And that is one security we all need in this sector. If you need any IT support whatsoever, go to astra.co.uk to learn more, and you will not be disappointed. Toby, over to you. Yes. I feel like I needed some like fireworks to go off there.
Freaking amazing.
I couldn't drop my mic. Come on, Obi, your turn, darling. What have you been up to?
Okay, so I'm obviously really excited because I'm about to talk about the products I just released, and I'm really excited because I did a demo yesterday, and I was talking about the unintended something of the product. So I just released a product called hsct.ai, and what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to support care providers with their everyday operations, support with compliance, and to write tenders. When I introduced myself, I said I was a bid writer. What people don't realize is, even though we're not part of the care organization, but we get to interact with care providers very, very closely. So we get to see firsthand, and as an independent body, sort of a bit like an independent auditor, what's working, what isn't, and things like that. And that's why the concept of hsct.ai was built. And it's so funny how when you were talking about registered managers being burnt out, I was like, should I say that this is one of the things that the app actually does? because this was done. I mean, I've been writing bids for 10 years, and I've been doing this for 10 years, nothing in comparison to you and Sophie, but it's still given me enough time. And with the relationships that I've built and the interactions I've observed, I intentionally wanted to build something that would be a support to providers and registered managers who are already burnt out. It's not just about doing the tenders as well. When you're part of it, when you decide to go down the route of acquiring a public procurement contract, that comes with regulations. You have to maintain your contracts. So there are lots of things that have to be done in between. So what the portal does is, rather than you just assigning not just the bid writing, but the operation, the contract implementation to one person, you can actually diversify. You don't have to store everything on your mind. You could actually use the portal, diversify, and just check what you're doing. So the registered manager goes from someone who is firefighting to someone who is just managing the tasks that people should be doing. Because when the local authority, when they go to bid, there are lots of other processes that follow in terms of securing and getting the work and sustaining it and maintaining it. So no one teaches you that. Absolutely. And this is why we created what we did.
Do you want to write the PIRs as well? Does it do that, Obi?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
There you go. Put it on your list, right? Because that is another bugbear of every provider out there. PIR. Honestly, it comes in and I'm like, oh no. And it's so repetitive. And I'm convinced they're not even looked at. But there we are. You're going to have to put that on your next 3-year plan, Obi, all right? PIRs. You heard it here first, guys.
Guys, you can now actually have your PIR done by the AI. Human-led AI.
So I just want to know, what is the future of this podcast? What are you trying to do, and what can I expect next as a listener?
So what listeners should expect to hear are 3 different perspectives in one. 3 women who operate in 3 different spaces coming together to talk about the daily experiences that could benefit the sector. Kat already, like, if you're in social care and you don't know Kat Hall, Google her, follow her. You need to be.
Then you're lucky. Then you're lucky.
You need to be, so she is every day advocating and doing a lot more, and she's going to be bringing that to the conversation. And Sophie does so much already with providers, co-produced care, and whatever is going on in his space, she's also going to be bringing it, and myself as well, working with individuals on the front line, foot soldiers, as I like to call them. We're all coming together once a month to talk about what these individual siloed spaces are doing collaboratively and how it could benefit you as a listener.
And we're also going to be bringing in a guest speaker every single month. But we don't want to choose those guest speakers. We want you, the watchers, to pick that guest speaker for us. We want to know what is irking you, what is grinding your gears at the moment. Is there questions that you want us to ask to specific people that you might not be able to get into a room, that we can absolutely try to get into a room? We've got a dedicated email that you can email into us, and we just bring it. Spam us. We want to hear what you guys would want. Otherwise, we are going to end up bringing on speakers that are not helpful. We don't want this to be a podcast where we're sharing really useless information. Do you know when you go to your commissioners meetings with the councils and they bring in a speaker and you're just sat there deaf by PowerPoint? We don't want that. We want to bring real conversations. We want to ask the questions that you want to ask, and obviously we've got loads of questions as well. So they're going to be hot, they're going to be real, they're going to be unfiltered. None of they will try
to get people that we, I'm putting myself in the, with the listeners, they can't really access every single day. So that's one of the things that people need to look forward to as well, because the people who actually change policies, people we actually want to hear from, we want to know if they feel the pain of the people on the ground. So these are the kind of guests that we would try. When I mean Sophie and Kat would try to pull in to have the conversations with.
And we don't give up. Us ladies, we don't give up. And you can probably expect to see multiple different hairstyles from Sophie. That is sort of her podcast gig.
Yes, I was like, what colour is Sophie going to have today?
What colour and how long? I was speaking to I was speaking to my nail technician yesterday because I had these ones done.
Very nice.
Crazy.
Very nice.
They're insane. Look at the moon. I've got a butterfly to signify like rebirth, transformation.
Like you've added texture. It used to be just like, one color. Now you've added texture, different layers. And I have questions.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Do you know what? I've had texture not just to my nails, to my life and to my working life. Boom. Get that one done. No, but seriously, this is it. This is our podcast. We aren't just one dimensional. We are about the textures. We are about the colors. We are about showing everything that social care is about. And it's not one dimensional. We have so many different providers, so many different types of provision, so many issues, from training, from staffing, from funding, from, the law, from regulation. There's so much to talk about. And I suppose the differentiation with our podcast compared to so many that are out there, and there can be 100 podcasts, we need as much discussion as possible. But what we're doing is we are 3 ladies that have literally worked the night shift, the day shift. We've managed, we've done all the things, and now we're campaigning, and we want to bring the voices of people who work in care to loads of other people, policymakers, and also we want to bring those policymakers, those politicians, those thinkers onto our podcast, and we want to grill them, we want to ask them questions, and ideally we want to get people's questions. So if you've got anything that's been bothering you this week, this month, this year, we want to hear about it. We will be platforming your questions as best as we can. So make sure you email us. The link and the email is below. And also just on our LinkedIns, you can find me, Sophie Chester-Glynn, on LinkedIn. You can find Katrina Hall, I think you are, on LinkedIn. Kat,
I am, yeah.
And Obi as well, you're on
Why don't you
LinkedIn. You
pronounce
just
my
like
name
send
for
us a
me?
message.
My foot.
Your full name. I don't want to mess it
I
up
thought
now.
you were going to say.
I was going to, then I was
Oh,
like, I don't
man.
think I've actually ever said it out loud.
Yeah, so it's Obiajulu or Konkwo. Yes, it's a mouthful. It's a Nigerian name, Obiajulu. But just
It's beautiful.
just look in the description. It's easier. Yeah.
Or go on my LinkedIn. She's tagged in everything and just click
Yeah.
on her name. That might be the easiest way to find her.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So I think if people just like follow us and ask us, and that's what we're going to bring to everybody, and that's, we're there in service to try and get the messages out, campaign for the sector as best as we can. Yes, we're doing so much in our own spaces, but at the end of the day, we need people in policy, we need the general public to hear what we're going through in social care, and we need to bring everyone along to make sure that social care still survives, because there is a real risk that if we do not have voices that can really help understand what's going on and get support for the sector in so many different ways, we're going to grow the carers network, as in like family carers, and that falls a lot on women, I'm sorry to say, but if we don't have a care sector, then we're going to have women who could have careers that won't be able to have careers because they have to do caring work. And I just think that's deeply unfair. So yes, there's an economic argument, but there's also an ethical argument and an equalities argument to supporting social care. So we're going to bring it.
We're going to bring it, ladies,
along with us, people,
with style. And I think our closing, my closing bonus tip is, if you're not part of Providers Unite, the national campaign has started. Go to www.providersunite.co.uk. Just join up. You'll get all the news letters sent to you. It will keep you updated on resources that you can use for lobbying, campaigning. There's going to be so much on there, and we're going to be bringing you so much more. But we are really, really grateful for anyone that's tuned in to watch us. We cannot wait to keep bringing you these regularly. And yeah, like we said, bring those guests to us, bring those suggestions, and we are going to bring it for you.